College football playoff rankings are out. And for the Big 12, there was some good and there was some ugly. I'm Pete Mundo, Heartland College Sports, where you find us covering the Big 12. Glad you're here joining us. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Same thing on the podcast. If you would, leave us that 5-star rating and review. So what did we get? We got Texas Tech up a couple of slots after their big win over BYU to number 6 in the country. We have BYU moving down 5 slots to number 12. We have Utah idle at number 13, right behind BYU. And then we have Cincinnati in the top 25 at number 25. They were not ranked last week. So I'm happy with the fact that Cincinnati sneaked back into the top 25. I didn't see that coming from the College Football Committee. Now, Cincinnati was coming off a bye week. They got blasted by Utah last time out by 30 points on the road. So it surprised me. So I'm like, okay, there's some respect for the Big 12 here. But then I look at the disrespect for BYU. Now, you might be saying, Pete, what do you mean disrespect for BYU? Well, BYU was 8-0. Loses to Texas Tech on the road. And listen, Texas Tech, outside of that loss at Arizona State, Texas Tech is killing everybody for the most part, right? And that was the biggest game in Lubbock in years. On the road for BYU, college game day, the whole scene there in Lubbock. And yeah, I mean, BYU didn't play a great game at all. Didn't play a good game at all. But 5 spots? You kidding me? I mean, you know who else dropped 5 spots this weekend or this week? Louisville, who lost to Cal, and Virginia, who lost to Wake Forest. They also dropped 5 spots. But you're telling me that BYU, which just lost to a team right outside the top 5 in the country, on the road in their biggest game of the year, also is going to drop 5 spots? Are you kidding me? Really? That's what you're going to do? I mean, UVA was at home. Louisville was at home. They lost their games at home. BYU's on the road, college game day, biggest game in Lubbock in like half a decade and a half, and you're throwing them down 5 slots? Wow. So that disrespect for BYU and having them behind Notre Dame and Texas and Oklahoma, I'm like, are you kidding me? Specifically Notre Dame. So I looked it up. I was going through some of the resume numbers. BYU has a better strength of record than Texas, Oklahoma, and Notre Dame. Strength of record is basically reflecting the chance that an average top 25 team would have that team's record or better given the schedule. BYU is 8th in the country in strength of record. In strength of schedule, BYU is 28. That is better than Notre Dame, which comes in at number 30. Not as good as Texas and Oklahoma. They're both in the teens. But BYU is 28. That is better than Notre Dame. So right there, I'm like, okay. You lost to Texas. BYU, to me, should be probably number 9 in the country if I'm looking at it, not number 12. But Notre Dame's sitting there at 9 when, I mean, the schedule, the decent teams they play, they lost to, Miami and A&M. And they're beating up a bunch of nobodies. It's ridiculous. So their only chance at a loss here is most likely coming up this weekend when they play against Pittsburgh. And boy, every Big 12 fan should be rooting for Pittsburgh if you want to see multiple Big 12 teams make the college football playoff. Now, I do believe that 2 teams can still get in from the Big 12. It's got to be probably BYU or Utah, obviously, joining Texas Tech. That is the best case scenario here in terms of the Big 12 getting a couple of teams in. 3's a pipe dream. We know that. We've talked about that on the show. But if you really want to see this number move on up, well, Notre Dame losing to Pittsburgh this weekend, because after that they've got Syracuse and Stanford. I mean, it's comical after that. I mean, they're not going to lose those games. And that's where you look at or Notre Dame's strength of schedule, remaining strength of schedule, is 66th in the country. BYU's is 41. I mean, BYU still has now a team ranked in the top 25 in Cincinnati on the road next week. After they play TCU, it might be angry coming off their loss last week. And then they got UCF to end the season. That's not a cakewalk by any stretch. UCF's played some pretty good football at times. So everything gives an edge to BYU over Notre Dame. The only area that Notre Dame is better than BYU in is the ESPN FPI, the Football Power Index. BYU is 17th. Notre Dame is 5th. And that is one of ESPN's advanced analytics. And, that's one of those things. I'm not saying that it's meaningless, but it's not like BYU is like 48 and Notre Dame is 5. And you're like, okay, I'm going to take that data point and I'm going to give that a lot of weight because BYU is so low in the ESPN FPI. They're not low in the ESPN FPI. They're just not. So this Notre Dame thing is really starting to nag me. And Joey Maguire knocked it out of the park this week, highlighting that after the game, and it's gotten a lot of attention on social media. Joey Maguire saying, if you missed it, that BYU he respects more for not being independent and joining a conference. Okay? And I'm glad we're having the conversation. And the fact that Notre Dame fans are freaking out, their top columnists are writing stories, you know what that means? Joey and the rest of us are over the target. Okay? That's what it means. They don't want to talk about this. They do not want to have the conversation. They're attacking Joey personally. They're attacking Texas Tech. Can't find Lubbock on a map. They're knocking the school. They're knocking the program. They can't defend the indefensible. And deep down, they know it. They know they can't defend the indefensible. That's why they're trying to play this stupid game of making it personal. And that means one thing. We keep hammering the you-know-what out of it, okay? Because that's what we do. We hammer the you-know-what out of it like there's no tomorrow. And that's what we are going to keep doing right here on the show. So, and the reason this matters, if BYU wins out, I believe they'll be in. If they get a rematch with Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game, they just can't get blown out. If it's close, they're probably both in. That would be a big deal. Utah is on the outside looking in right now. They're sitting there at 13. They've got 2 losses, obviously, against Texas Tech and BYU. So, they need somebody to slip up here at some point. But they've got Baylor on the road this weekend, Kansas State, and Kansas. They can absolutely win out. They are a team whose resume is very strong when you look at it. Strength of record, 19 in the country. FPI, 9th in the country. Strength of schedule is a little low for Utah at 52. Their remaining strength of schedule is 49. But they are in a very good position right now as a 2-loss team. They just need a little help. In a perfect world, they can figure out their way into a Big 12 championship game. I mean, the problem for them, though, is that they've got 2 losses, and they're 2 losses to the 2 teams that are right now on a collision course to get in to the Big 12 championship in BYU and Texas Tech. So that's where it becomes difficult right now for a team like Utah. But they're going to have a good resume if they finish this thing with a 10-2 record, as the advanced analytics show one of the best 2-loss records in the entire country, if not the best 2-loss record in the entire country based on all the other metrics. And then there's Cincinnati hanging out there. Okay? Now, Cincinnati, I know they're 5-1, and you know what? They beat Arizona. They beat BYU. They beat TCU. They're playing in a Big 12 championship. All right? They are. And then they got to win it, because their loss to Nebraska hurts, and then the way they lost to Utah hurts as well. I don't think that Cincinnati can get into a Big 12 championship game, lose it, and still make the playoff. I just don't see that being the case at all. I think that's one of those things that you look at and you say to yourself, all right, what's realistic here for Cincinnati? They've got to be able to finish out with 4 straight wins. That's what it's going to have to look like for this team. And they can do it, but none of these games are easy. Arizona's playing underratedly good football. We know how good BYU is. And at TCU to end the season, I mean, listen, I was ripping on TCU. They had a terrible loss to Iowa State this past weekend. They blew the game, double digits in the fourth quarter. But it's a talented team. Blow for blow, those teams are evenly talented. Cincinnati's got the better team, obviously, but they're evenly talented. So there is not a guaranteed W left for Cincinnati. But if they can win out and get to a Big 12 championship and pull off an upset, hey, you're talking about the Bearcats then at that point being Big 12 champs and in a college football playoff for the first time in just a few years since they were there with Luke Fickell. What was that, 40 years ago now, right? Crazy. I'm Pete Mundo on Heartland College Sports. There you go, the reaction to the college football playoff rankings that dropped on Tuesday night. Hey, just subscribe right now. Make sure you're on the channel. Hit the like button on the video. Same thing on the podcast. We appreciate you guys. Have a great day. We've got the previews coming up this week for Week 12. Can you believe it? I'm Pete Mundo on Heartland College Sports. Have a great day.